Morning, everyone. My name is Janet Gachoya. I graduated from Centonomy in April last year, so I graduated about a year ago. First of all, I'm very happy to see any opportunity to speak in front of a group of people is always an exciting opportunity for me, because Centonomy has changed my life, and if I can share my story with you and even impact one person in this room, then I'll be happy. So I don't have any fancy slides or famous quotes from famous people. I'm just going to keep it very real, keep it very simple. I'm just going to share with you my attitude before I joined Centonomy, my attitude towards money, the value that I placed on money, the mistakes that I made, what got me to join Centonomy, the lessons that I learned in Centonomy, and where I am now a year after that. So before I begin, I just want you to have this thought in your mind. You're obviously all here because this is a course about financial independence. This is a course about wealth creation. So if you're in this room, that is where your mindset is sort of at. You're probably, thinking how you can create some assets, how you can do more with what you have, how you can get if you don't have that kind of thing. So I just want you to have this thought in your head, and I'll come back to it at the end of the presentation. What creating wealth, financial independence, returns. I just want you to have those thoughts in your head. Just think returns. So let me start first with my attitude before I joined Centonomy, and I'll give you a little bit of a background about myself. I was studying in the UK. I was doing my law degree there, and I was privileged. After I graduated, I got a great job, and I was working in the UK. Anybody who's lived and worked there, lawyers, bankers, those kind of people are in the top 1% earners. So we were even earning more. The then Prime Minister was earning about £120,000. That is the percentile that I was in. And I'm not saying this to be arrogant. I'm saying this to paint a picture of where I was coming from. So there I am. I've gone to law school. I was privileged. I got a great job, and I started working, and very quickly started to earn a lot of money. Now, here's the thing. If you don't understand money, you don't understand the value of money, and your character cannot handle money, it doesn't matter if you are taking home 1 million shillings, 2 million shillings. If you don't understand money, how to keep it, how to grow it, you are going to be broke at the end of that. So what I'm trying to get at here is, it's not just about I am rich, I am making this amount of money, I can afford to do these kind of things. It is whether you understand how money works and the value and the character you have when you have money. So for me, I didn't come, and again, these are other mistakes, and I'm not one of those people who blame parents, blame economy. I don't do the blame game. If you didn't get something, if something didn't work out, God has still given you that ability to be able to correct what was wrong. So in my family, I never had to save for anything. I was never taught to save for anything. I've never saved. I save now, but at the time, I've never saved in my life. If I needed something, I just bought it because I could afford to do it. I had never learned those simple principles about saving for things, having vision, having objectives, having discipline, having focus. All these things are required for you to keep your wealth. So I never had any of that. So I'm working, I'm making loads of money, I am being able to do a lot of things that were making me happy, lifestyle choices, expensive holidays. I was living the life. I was basically living a champagne lifestyle. The other thing that happens, and it also happens in this country, in our country, is when you are earning a certain amount of money, you're given that importance by people. So you go to the banks, they will throw money at you. If you need anything, it is given to you because of your earning capacity. Right? So for me, anything I wanted, I can get. If I wanted to drive a nice car, I will go to the bank, show them my pay packet, show them my pay slip, they will give me a loan, and because I'm earning enough, I can afford those repayments. But here's the thing. Everything is leveraged. You're on leverage and you're not understanding. There's no vision, there's no plan. You don't know where you're going. You're just living day to day, paycheck to paycheck. And a lot of people in employment make this mistake where you can afford certain things. I'm earning 100,000 Kenya shillings today. I pay my rent 20,000. I toss 20,000 to entertainment. I do this and the other. But on the after the 30 days are over, you need the next paycheck. It only lasts for 30 days because we have trained our minds to, I earn 100,000, so the 100,000 is for those 30 days. After those 30 days, there's no money. We must wait for the next paycheck. That's a lot of people. I'm not saying it's everybody, but it was a lot of people. It was certainly me. So here I am, I'm doing great. I'm not particularly building any sort of asset portfolio. I have no knowledge whatsoever on creating wealth or anything like that. I'm living day to day, and I'm truly living a champagne lifestyle. Then I made the decision to move back home. It was a great decision. I made the decision to move back home. And when I came with this expectation that if I was earning this much and doing all these great things, I will move back home and I will still be in that top placentile. Because, hey, I've got a great education and I've been earning this kind of money before, and I'm going to come to Kenya and I'll be a bag of chips. I'll be all that in a bag of chips. I'm going to be snapped up and this will just carry on. I will carry on this lifestyle. Now, this lifestyle had been going on for almost a decade, so it was a long time. And really, when I look back, I should have come home to retire because I had made that much money. I really should not have been coming to try and be in the top 4% earners in the country, because looking back, and after doing Centonomy and looking back at how I used that opportunity and that money when I had it, really I should have been retiring. That is the truth of the matter. So I came and I started applying for jobs because, of course, when I resigned from my job and I made the decision to come back home, I'm like, this is going to carry on. I was not stressed out. I was not panicked. Nothing. I'm going to come. I'm going to walk into the top law firm in the country. I'm going to get a job and I'll be the top placenta and I'll carry on like that. Now, wow, that was quite a shock, because when I came home, guess what? I wasn't all that in a bag of chips. I did go to a top law firm. They did offer me a job, and they offered me, this is a true story, they offered me 20,000 Kenya shillings per month. And I was looking at the partner and I'm like, have you not seen my CV? I mean, have you read it properly? I mean, this is the law firm that I worked for in the UK. This is my pay slip. What are you talking about? Said, oh, well, you haven't done school of law. You actually don't have a license to practice here. When you go to school of law, and after 2 years, when you have a license, we'll talk about it then. But right now, what we can offer you is 20,000 Kenya shillings a month. And then I asked the question, what will you offer me after I get my license? And they said, actually, because you have UK experience, we'll offer you a bit more than everyone else. We'll offer you 60,000 Kenya shillings. So I've never earned 20,000 Kenya shillings. My first job straight from university was the equivalent of 350,000 Kenya shillings. That was as a legal assistant. So I had no concept of how the 20,000 or the 60,000 is going to sustain my massive lifestyle. I mean, I went to the shop and I'm like, a bottle of champagne is 30,000 Kenya shillings. These guys want to pay me 20K. How am I going to live? What am I going to do? And, the people that I used to go to share my problems, I think it's because violence is illegal. They probably would have smacked me behind the head because they were like, you were earning what? For how long? Oh, and why are you still looking for a job? And that's when I started to think, and I'm like, wow. Excuse my French, but I was like, I'm screwed. I'm screwed because I have to go to school of law. I have to get the license. This is a top law firm telling me they're paying me 20,000 Kenya shillings. I have not come with any savings. There's nothing. Zilch. Bank balance is zero. My mom, of course, moms are great. Don't worry, this is Kenya, but Shiro, really, you didn't save any money. I was like, well, you now start to get embarrassed because you look the part, but the bank balance is zilch, and you know it. Now, this is when you have to be true to yourself, and you can't pretend anymore. You're like, this is it. Oh my goodness, I've gone from a swanky apartment in London. I'm going to be living at home with my mother in the bedroom I grew up in. Like I think, it was too much. I was like, I can't, this is too much. So that's now when I started to think about my life. And that's the point. I think for me, that was the point when, I hit rock bottom and I really went back and I just thought, what has happened? Because people are telling me I shouldn't be in this position, I should be retiring. I know, and this is the irony. Because I'm intelligent, I'm educated, I'm a lawyer. People look at me like, you didn't know this. How come you don't know this? I was doing all these big financial deals for people, but me, myself, zero. I had an asset base of zero. So I thought about it, and I didn't enjoy my experience at School of Law, but it at least it gave me a lot of time to think. I'd sit sometimes in between lectures, and I'm just sitting and thinking about my life, and I'm like, gosh, I can't believe this. This is 2 years. I have to be here for 2 years. I'm making zero money. How am I going to survive? So Shaka is a good friend of mine, and this is the other thing. When I came home in the UK, I was very much in a very corporate setting. Entrepreneurs here, the entrepreneurial spirit back home is much larger than it is in the West. And actually, this environment is better because you get to think and open your mind more. In the West, you're caught up in credit. Everything is on credit. If you look at somebody, they have a nice house, a nice car. It's all on credit. Nobody can actually afford to do anything if there wasn't that credit. So it's a bit of a false, it's a false cushion that you're in. So I came and I was networking with people and talking to people, and I met this guy who is actually younger than me, and was telling me, he was talking and telling me how his net worth was about 100 million shillings, and I was looking at him and I'm like, how have you managed that? This is again slight arrogance. Like, how have you managed to have a portfolio of 100 million? What have you done? And he's just telling me, I started off, I had 5,000 shillings, and he amassed this wealth in a period of about 7 years. So when he started his investments, he started 7 years prior to that. He had 5,000 shillings, and that 5,000 shillings he went and bought stocks, and he grew his portfolio up to the point where now he's 100 million and going up, right? Now, here's the thing. When I listened to him, it wasn't that, he had there was some luck or he was in a privileged position or anything. It was simply the discipline, and he had the knowledge and understanding of knowing how to multiply money, how to grow his money, how to create wealth, which is what Centonomy is going to teach you. That 5,000, when he took me through those steps, was exactly what Washeke is teaching people in Centonomy, and the principle is the same. The guy who makes 500 shillings and makes it 5,000 is the same guy who makes it from 5,000 to 10,000, same guy who makes it from 1 million to 1 billion. The principle is exactly the same. So don't be deterred and think, I don't have 1 million shillings to start investing. This guy started with 5,000 shillings only 7 years ago. And today has amassed a huge portfolio by simply following basic principles, understanding money, understanding the value of it, being disciplined and being focused. So I listened to him and he's like, you should, I was like, so I told him my story, this sob story, and he didn't really feel sorry for me. He's like, yeah, you've made some mistakes, but here's the thing. You can start even with 500 shillings. It doesn't have to be 1 million. You can start with 500 shillings. You can even start with 200 shillings. You can even start with 0, but you have an idea. You have an idea, because there are people who can help you see this idea. There are things that you can do to help you create wealth. You don't have to have that wealth initially to create wealth. You've heard Sheke talking about skills, opportunities, networking. All these things have a value on them. So even if you're sitting there with 0 in the bank, there'll be a skill, there'll be some knowledge that you have, there'll be some opportunities, some networks that you can leverage on. You can leverage on all that. You don't have to just leverage on actual physical money. So anyway, I listened to him and I thought, right, it's time to take some action. I wasted the opportunities I had in the UK in terms of creating wealth from that aspect. I'm listening to somebody here who is inspiring me so much, because he's started with so little and has so much. And he took me around to some of his assets. There was a property that he had bought at the time, and he told me, come and look at my property, just get a feel of what's happening in the country. And I went, I looked at the property, and I'm like, wow, this is a really nice property. Why are you not living here? Why are you renting? He had modest accommodation at the time. And I'm like, why are you renting? And I'm talking I'm talking as he's growing his portfolio. At the time when he's telling me this, he is worth that. But where he lives is not, because when you hear you're worth 100 million, I want to see a 14-bedroomed mansion in some outskirts somewhere, some giraffes grazing, because then what are you doing? And he actually told me, I can't afford to live here. It's mine. I'm building it, but I can't afford to live here. I'm not worth enough yet to be able to afford to live in this house. Now, here's the thing: the house you live in is an asset, but it's not an income-generating asset. So, remember when we were talking about returns, the house you live in is not generating you income. You're living there. So it is not an income-generating asset. And he was telling me, today, if I lost everything I had and I was living in that house, I would declare myself bankrupt. I cannot afford that house based on my net worth, right? I'm building to get there, but I can't right now. Because another important principle is he was understanding the difference between understanding that value of what that money you have, the 10 million shillings that you have, whether you can afford the assets that you have. You can use that 10 million to get other assets that bring an income, and it's from those returns that you are now looking to see the lifestyle that you can afford. It isn't the other way around. It isn't, I've made 10 million shillings today, I can afford a nice German vehicle. That's it, I've arrived. Because once you've bought the German vehicle and you're driving it, it isn't generating any other income. It isn't. That's it. The 10 million is gone. In fact, you're bleeding money because there's maintenance and fuel and all that. So where you're going with the things that you're acquiring, the course is teaching you how to understand money and how to know whether you can afford the things you have. There are many people that are driving Range Rovers, living in rented homes in big suburbia mansions, but they're broke. And what Centonomy teaches you is how to understand some of these principles. I'll give you a quick example of when I was living my champagne lifestyle. I used to I could afford to fly home on a Friday and fly back I used to arrive at I used to leave Heathrow at Friday on the evening, flight the KQ 7 o'clock. I get here on Saturday morning. I hang out with people here. Sunday night, I take the 11:45. I am in London by 6 a.m., 7 o'clock. I'm in my office. That's the kind of life I used to live. Yeah? That's the kind of life I used to live. My ass came back broke. So, on one of my jet setting, jet setting trips, I used to fly in for weddings, parties, baby parties, whatever. I just can't remember. I've not saved. I've just called my agent and I'm like, book a ticket, and I go, and that's it. So when I came on one of the trips, one of my friends was like, you should bring some stuff and sell because you're able to fly back and forth, bring some stuff and sell. So I thought, actually, I think, what do you guys want? People were like, bring handbags, bring shoes. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I took about 1,000 shillings. Again, this is not from a savings account. This is my current account. I had liquidity, so I just went. I'm like, I'll just grab I don't know if this venture will work. I'll just grab £1,000, go to the shop, buy stuff, bring it. By the time I arrived here, my stuff was already here. I came on Friday, and Sheke will attest to this because she was there. She was one of my customers. I bought the stuff, came, I displayed it in the living room. I had advertised slightly, and people came, and I sold everything. I put in 1,000. I left this country with that Sunday with the equivalent of £5,000 cash. It's over $500,000 in my pocket. Yeah. So here's the thing. Okay, so I have a bit of business acumen. I gave myself a tick there. I was able to come up with an idea and sell. But here is now when we get to attitude. Had I had the right attitude, I multiplied 1,000 to 5,000 in 3 days. Had I been smart, I could have done it over and over again, or even gotten into I could have multiplied. But this is what I did. I landed back in the UK, went to the travel agent, booked myself a luxury holiday. With the money, because I'm like, if I can go to, in fact I was like, guys in Kenya are asleep, because if I can, 3 days I've made this cash, the next time I go, I think now I'll put 5,000, I'll come back with $1 million, and now in fact, instead of taking a commercial airline, I think I can afford to just take a private plane for my holiday. That's where I was thinking. Anyway, I'll tell you this, I've never, and I'll tell you, I'm now in business, but up until I started my company, which was about 8 months ago, I never made $500,000 that easily ever again. Ever. I never saw that money again. That myth I had that I can do it over and over again was not there. The skills were there. The talents that God has given me in terms of my natural abilities were there. But my understanding of money and being able to keep it, zero. That one was not there. So I came home. So, I've painted a background for you. So when these people are telling me 20,000 Kenya shillings, I took the 20,000 Kenya shillings, and it was tough. Yeah, it was tough. I just used to sit and think, but for me, I work best when things are tough, because I'm like, I can't stay in this situation for long. Something has got to give, and I'm not going to go back to where I was before. Something has to change. I have to do something differently. I have to give, what am I going to do differently so that the next time, and now I valued this 20,000, but then there's a lot, I realize there's a lot you can do with 20,000, a lot. I was fueling my car. I mean, there's a lot you can do. But I sat down, I had the opportunity of sitting down with Sheke, and she was like, look, I'm running this course. I have this course that I'm running. This is what we're teaching, and I think you'd be a perfect candidate for this course. Come and listen. Even if you don't do anything about this situation, come and listen to what we're saying. I promise you, you're going to leave there with something. And I took her up on that, and I joined Centonomy, because I was like, I need to do something. I don't know what, but I'm not rolling with 20K. I'll make it work for now, but this is not where I'm headed. I need a bigger plan. So I went for Centonomy, and the first 10 minutes of the first class, that I knew I had made the right decision. I sat there and I thought, wow, this is going to be an amazing 10 weeks. because everything that she introduced that course with was me. I could relate. She was like, are you one of these people who you get your salary and you know you're getting paid on the 28th of the month, so you know around the 26th, 27th, that's when things are getting thick. Those are the 2 days before you get paid. You stay indoors because you have no money, but you don't know how, you just know that the money sort of lasts up in the 30 days when you're in employment. That was me. You have had opportunities, you're getting a salary, but you're not doing anything useful with it. That was me. I had no idea. I had no idea about anything. Like, I was just coasting through life. I had not put down my liabilities. I still had some liabilities in the UK when I came, and I did buy a house when I was there, but it wasn't because I bought the house because I was smart or because I was thinking of growing an asset portfolio. I'll be very honest with you. At the time, it was generally cheaper to buy than rent. And you didn't have to have a deposit. I went to the bank, I was like, I was told rent is this much. I went to the bank, I was told how much would a mortgage be. The mortgage was £300 cheaper than what I would rent. I asked the bank, do I need a deposit? Remember, I don't save, so there was no deposit. The bank told me, you don't need a deposit. You are top 1%, 100%. In fact, if you want 105%, we'll give you. That's how I ended up acquiring. It was like by default. Yeah? But when I learned about Centonomy, I was like, wow, I now have to hang on to that house because now I understand the value of it. Anyway, I joined Centonomy, and I went through the course. I met a lot of inspirational people in there. A lot of the students that I went on the course with, a lot of inspirational people. And truly that course changed my life. It wasn't a course that said to me, if you have 500, sit there. If you have 500 shillings, sit there. If you have 10 million, sit there. We're going to tell you how to invest. No. What it does is it opens up your eyes and it debunks the myth about what wealth is. Yeah, it debunks the myth. If you are in a job today and you are able to afford to drive a luxury car because the bank is giving you leverage, you are able to take out a mortgage because the bank is leveraging you. If you lose your job, you start selling. You sell the car, you sell the house, you're going to hospital, you're stressed. Because that isn't what wealth creation is. Wealth creation is being able to know that even if I lose my job today, I don't need to sell the car because I'm driving a car I can afford, with or without this monthly income. I'm living in a house that I can afford, with or without the monthly income, which is why my friend who was telling me I'm building that house but I can't afford to live in it, he understood, because he's like, if I live in it, I'd rather use it to generate income so that if I lose my job, I have this asset here that is still generating me an income. Returns, income generation, wealth creation, those are the buzzwords I'm trying to go with here. So I completed the course, and at the time I was also coming towards the end of my school of law, and I sat down and I thought about it, and I was like, well, I'll go back, I'll earn the 60,000, maybe they'll think I'm exceptional, I'll earn 180,000, but am I really going to be where I want to be here? And an opportunity came up to start a business, and I took that opportunity. I started a real estate company, and the principles that I learned at Centonomy, I would never have been able to get that company off the ground if I had gone with the mentality that I had pre-Centonomy. Because what Centonomy taught me is to have a plan, to be organized, to have a vision, to have goals and objectives. You don't get into investments. Everyone is joining a chama. I think I'll join a chama. They're contributing 10,000 shillings, 50,000 shillings. I'll join. The money just sits there. There's no plan. Yeah, I think, guys are buying plots. How much you have 250,000? Fine, come and buy a plot. You buy the plot. There's no plan. If you read books and you look at people who are creating wealth, and there's really a difference between, and Centonomy will teach you this. There's really a difference between wealth creation and being rich as people perceive it. Right? You sit there and you if you read books, people who have actually made money, they get into investments with a clear plan in mind. It is investing with a plan. Because a lot of people will be like, I think I'll buy a plot, you really put the plot there and you forget about it. Prices go up, they go down, they tank, they peak, and you get caught up in that. Oh my goodness, Safaricom shares, did we get to this? But smart investors, the people who understand stocks didn't actually panic when Safaricom didn't get, because they understand how to invest, they understand money, they understand what they're going in to get and when they need to get out. So when I started the business, Centonomy, Shek had given us a template on starting your business. So I was organized from the beginning. I knew not to use the business as a personal account. I knew when my first paycheck came in, it wasn't now going to be, okay, now I think I can get the swanky apartment. I think now I can get a German vehicle. I can do this. I learned, because I understand that I needed to put that money back into the business to grow it and grow my business. That is the priority. The priority is growing my business to grow my returns. And from my returns, I will then fund my lifestyle, as opposed to lifestyle with no return. I want you guys to write this down. 4 words. Lifestyle has no returns. If you're here to make returns, lifestyle doesn't have it. I'm not saying don't enjoy your life. I'm not saying don't enjoy that glass of champagne. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying enjoy it from your returns. Yeah? You're getting the distinction there. Enjoy it from your returns, not the other way around, where you have all these things and you have zero returns. Yeah? So that's what happened to me at Centonomy. I'm just quickly checking to make sure that I've sort of said everything, but a lot of things that I took away from Centonomy. My knowledge of money, how to make it, how to keep it, how to spend it changed, how to leverage things that were not money related. For instance, if you're starting this journey with zero, ask yourself, zero in terms of cash. You don't have any. If you're starting the journey from zero, what do I have that I can leverage to help me make money? What opportunities are around me? What skills do I have that I can use to create that capital? Yeah, what networks do I have that I can leverage to create that capital? And again, you're thinking about the skills with a plan. If you say to yourself, I want to do this and I need 1 million to start, what can I do right now to get me to the 1 million? Then when you get to the 1 million, how do I now double this? Or how do I use this to get to the next level? Because wealth creation, it requires patience, it requires a good attitude, discipline, and focus. And for me, honestly, you even heard my story, lifestyle destroyed that for me, right? I'm a little bit more measured now, and I'm able to, when I do things, I know I can afford it. It's not because, I'll just spend it now because tomorrow this other one will come in. It's because I know that even if A, B, and C, and D doesn't come, I can still afford this. So I'll leave it there. All I will say is I will encourage you to join the course. If there's anybody in the room who can relate to anything that I'm saying, please join the course. And if you take away the 4 words, if you take away 4 words from what I've said today, it's lifestyle has no returns. Thank you.